Let's discuss which lizard is the best beginner reptile for you. We will go over the biological facts, behavior, diet, environment, and common medical disorders for both the leopard gecko. Leopard geckos vary in length as adult females reach 7 to 8 inches and males 8 to 10 inches. Now, bearded dragons can grow anywhere between 18 to 24 inches for either sex. Leopard geckos usually live from 8 to 10 years, but it has been reported for some of them to live up to 20 years. The captive lifespan of bearded dragons is usually between 8 and 15 years. Leopard geckos are terrestrial animals from a desert environment, and the bearded dragons are native to rocky, semi-desert regions bordering forests in Australia. The sexual maturity in geckos is 18 to 24 months, and for the bearded dragons, it's 1 to 2 years. A fun fact about the leopard geckos is that they store fat in their tails for times of low food availability. When it comes to behavior, leopard geckos are crepuscular, which is animals that are active during twilight. Twilight is dusk and dawn. Now, this leads for many believing that the leopard geckos are nocturnal. Bearded dragons, on the other hand, are diurnal, which means active during the day. But in the wild, they will spend part of the day in cool burrows. Leopard geckos are usually docile animals that tolerate handling, and if handled frequently, will become quite friendly. And bearded dragons are social and usually adapt well to their human caretakers. Be cautious with the leopard gecko because if they are scared, like any gecko, they can and will drop their tails. Bearded dragons shed in pieces, so different parts of their bodies will shed at separate times. Leopard geckos shed all at once, and they usually eat their shed. Now let's talk diet since we're talking eating. When it comes to leopard geckos, they are mostly insectivorous. They feed on a variety of prey items such as crickets, mealworms, superworms, phoenix or calciworms, roaches, and occasionally can eat a pinky mice. Bearded dragons are omnivorous and eat fruits, veggies, flowers, insects, and small vertebrates. For both geckos and bearded dragons, it's best to gut load their insects with a nutritious diet at least 12 hours before feeding. They both also should have their insects dusted with a multivitamin and calcium with D3 a couple times a week for adults and daily for juveniles. Make sure that you provide water dishes big enough for your lizards to soak in, no matter the species. When making your beardy salads, do not forget to spritz with water for extra hydration. Your beardy's nutritional needs do change with age, and they go from needing 70 to 80% insects and 20 to 30% veggies as a baby to 20% insects and 80% veggies as an adult. So that's quite a difference from an adult to a baby. I'm sure you are wondering how much space for your lizard you will need, and the requirements definitely vary between the two. Leopard geckos don't need as much space as a bearded dragon, obviously, since the leopard gecko is a lot smaller than the bearded dragons. Leopard geckos need a 10 to 20 gallon terrarium, and bearded dragons need a 20 to 40 gallon terrarium for juveniles and a 50 to 75 gallons for an adult. Both lizards do need temperature gradients. The geckos need a gradient of 85 to 90 on the hot side and 78 to 80 on the cool side. Now, bearded dragons need 80 to 90 in their basking area and 70 to 85 on the cool side. Juvenile beardies, though, they need a basking area of 110 degrees. Geckos should also have at least 3 hides, one on the hot side, one on the cool side, and a humidity hide. Dragons should have a log, rocks, or even a bearded dragon hammock that they sell at the pet store that can put them closer to their UVB lights. The humidity needed is pretty close for both of them. So your leopard geckos are going to need 30 to 40% humidity. Bearded dragons are going to need 35 to 40% humidity. You also want to make sure that you do spritz down your dragons at least once a day with water. This helps hydrate them, and they usually will drink it as you're spraying. I usually spritz until they stop drinking it off of them. You do want to be careful, though, not to soak their entire enclosure and to really just spritz their head area, because if you don't and you get it everywhere, it will cause their humidity to skyrocket. Leopard geckos need under the tank heat on the hot side of their enclosure. You can use a heat mat or heat tape, and you always want to use a thermostat to prevent burning. You never want to use a heat rock for a leopard gecko or a bearded dragon. That's just not an option. They burn them. Bearded dragons do need UVB lighting, though, and it needs to be within 12 inches of their basking spot. They also need a basking light, so you'll have the long UVB light and then one of the round basking lights on top. They both can use the same substrate. I usually use reptile carpet, non-adhesive shelf liner, or tile. I do like the tile better for the bearded dragons because it does help file down their nails, and I usually put small pieces of tile in with the leopard geckos to help file down their nails. I always avoid loose substrate because it can cause an intestinal blockage, respiratory tract irritation, eye irritation, and it can even clog the male bearded dragon's femoral pores. Don't cohabitate bearded dragons. You cannot cohab male leopard geckos as well. But if you do plan to cohab female leopard geckos, it can only be done under special circumstances. They must be the same size and age, and preferably you must keep a close eye for any signs of bullying. The second you see either one of your females getting aggressive, usually it would be around feeding time, you should immediately separate them and put them in their own enclosures. Once that aggression starts, do not try to put them back together because it is an ongoing thing. It will not go away. You're just putting your animals at risk. And if you're not there to watch them 100% of the time, then you really don't know if that bullying is going to continue. So I just suggest you keep a good eye on it. If you get a bad feeling, if you see anything, just separate them. It's not worth it. You don't want to harm an animal or lose an animal. Now, last but not least, we will discuss some common medical disorders. Leopard geckos tend to deal with a lot of stuck shed leading to the loss of their toenails, digits, or tail tips. They get stuck shed or foreign material in their eye. It's causing infections and vision loss, abscesses, egg binding in females, calcium deficiencies, which can lead to metabolic bone disease, and internal parasites. When it comes to bearded dragons, they can deal with anorexia, egg binding in females, intestinal parasites, respiratory infections, which is due to the humidity. That's why you watch it so close. Metabolic bone disease, traumatic wounds, skin and jaw infections, and clogged femoral pores in males. So overall, after caring for many of both leopard geckos and bearded dragons, I do believe that the leopard gecko is easier to maintain. So I usually recommend leopard geckos as the beginner lizard, especially if you're a busy person who works, has kids, or just has a lot going on. This is just an opinion, so don't take it to heart. Don't come for us. But at the Reptile Sisters, when someone asks what's the best beginner lizard, we always say leopard geckos from our own experiences. We're not saying that this is 100% law, or that it wouldn't work out better for somebody else in a different environment or situation. We just believe that with how sensitive the bearded dragons are as babies, the specific heating and humidity needs that can really affect their eating, we just believe that leopard geckos are just a lot easier to maintain and handle. As you can see, this is my 5-year-old son, and this is his personal leopard gecko. He is going in to get him out. He knows how to handle him. His leopard gecko does not run from him. He plays with him. He helps care for him. And it's just an overall great animal for children and families. Bearded dragons are as well, but if you want your children to be able to help you when it comes to maintaining, feeding, and handling your animals, leopard geckos are definitely better for small hands. Bearded dragons tend to whip their tail if they're not being supported, and that can lead to literally breaking their spine. So leopard geckos would definitely fit better into your child's hand. I thank you very much, Reptile family, and we really are happy and glad that you guys are coming on this journey with us. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and click the notification bell, and you guys have a great day, and the Reptile Sisters will too. Thank you, Reptile family.